Of the federal police takeover, and tonight you'll be seeing even more officers out on the streets. That's because federal agents are now in a 24/7 operation. In the last 30 minutes, we saw this security checkpoint along 14th Street near V and W Streets in Northwest. We're told one person was arrested.
Yeah, our crews were there this evening as federal officers were dispatched from the U.S. Park Police Anacostia Operations Facility in Southeast. Thank you for being here with us at 11 o'clock. I'm Lorenzo Hall.
And I'm Leslie Foster. Just after 7 tonight, President Trump made some new comments on social media about crime in the district. He claimed that D.C., in his words, has one of the highest rates of crime in the world and said that the city's violent crime rate has doubled in over a decade. But as we've reported in recent weeks, 2025 data from D.C. police and the FBI show that crime is actually down.
Yeah, clearly you had a lot to say in that post. As the city adjusts to these sweeping changes in law enforcement, we are here to keep you informed and help you understand your rights.
So let's start with Alexis Wainwright, live in Chinatown, where agents gathered moments ago. And Alexis, we know you were at a protest earlier where a number of people voiced their concerns about the changes.
Yeah, well, Leslie and Lorenzo, that's exactly right. Now, after hearing stress, anxiety, and concerns from people, we are starting to see some action. People stepping up and speaking out about this federal takeover. Now, tonight we are in the Gallery Place Chinatown area where we saw federal agents about 3 hours ago, but within the last 10 minutes, 2 blocks over along G Street, we saw federal agents again. A lot of them were stopping cars, but we didn't see anyone taken into custody. Meanwhile, right behind me at the train station, we see Metro Transit. And also we have seen D.C. police up and down several of these blocks within the last 10 minutes or so. Now, a lot of people say their feelings are intensifying after seeing all of this action taken, but also after hearing President Donald Trump speak up and say he would like to extend the initial 30 days for this federal takeover.
We're going to want extensions. I don't want to call national emergency. If I have to, I will.
Day 3 of federal law enforcement agencies operating in the district. And President Donald Trump already says he believes Congress would approve an extension of the 30 days under his invoked Home Rule Act.
People are feeling safe already. I've had so many calls. Thank you, sir. Thank you. They were afraid to walk out. They're not afraid anymore.
The president says the goal is to stop crime in the district, which he calls, quote, out of control, despite D.C. police data showing crime is actually declining.
It's not surprising, but it shows our need to continue the fight back and to really come together.
And D.C. residents like Kristen Bonner aren't pleased.
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop.
We just recognize the time and the moment and realize that we have to be out in the streets. We have to support black communities and oppressed communities.
What do we want?
The D.C. Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression hosted a protest after seeing more National Guard deployed to the district.
We live here too.
We could have released just a press statement and that was it. But I think it's important now more than ever to not only form bonds with the community, but to show your face.
But tensions are now higher after White House officials announced that all federal law enforcement operations will transition to a 24/7 presence, not just evenings.
It is a little scary.
The feelings are still hard to put into words.
It feels unsettling. They shouldn't be here. They have no right to be here.
And Amber Jane Jones is just one of the hundreds who have concerns about communities being over-policed.
It's angering that you can't walk down the street without being questioned on who you are, where you're going, all these things. When you're just minding your business, you're not doing anything.
So again, we can see a local police presence here at the Gallery Place Chinatown train station. Federal agents continue to move across the district tonight. Now we know another concern is about violence interrupters. They're typically out in the community helping de-escalate conflict. We know tomorrow they will have a meeting to help talk about solutions. But for now, reporting live in Northwest, Alexis Wainwright, WUSA 9.
You can see how they might be concerned about what happens when they're the ones who help to stand in the gap and bridge the gap in so many ways.
Yes, still a reminder that community is so important during this time.
It truly is.
Thank you.
Our team coverage continues right now with Katie Lesso.
Yeah, she is right along 9th and U Streets. And Katie, what's going on where you are tonight?
Yeah, well, we've seen MPD out here, we've seen federal officers out here, and there's a lot of people who are frustrated to see that extra presence out here. But just a short time ago, a few hours ago, and just a few blocks from here, we tagged along on a community safety walk where neighbors expressed their frustrations about everything that's been going on and their concerns about what the future holds and what this looks like, a federal takeover.
How are we collaborating with other agencies?
These are some of the questions.
How do we comfort parents who have their children walking to and from school. They could, we don't want them to be hurt. We don't want them to be targeted.
On the minds of D.C. residents.
Who's in charge of MPD right now?
Just days into the federal takeover of D.C. police.
My boss hasn't changed.
Sean Connors is the D.C. Police Department's 3rd District Commander.
Our day-to-day operations are not changing. Right? We're still a police department serving the community.
He organized Wednesday night's community safety walk before the federal takeover, but it quickly became a key topic of conversation.
Our initiatives aren't going to change. We've worked with the feds before. We're going to continue to work with them. But at the end of the day, the 3rd District is still the 3rd District.
At the center of the federal takeover, the claim that D.C. is not safe.
I've been here a whole lot of years. Of course, we live in the city, so you're always going to have, crime, but I feel safe. I don't feel uncomfortable.
Some are worried about crime, but say this takeover is not the solution.
Very invested in reducing crime, increasing public safety in our neighborhoods and in the city as a whole. And if we get it wrong, these are the people it affects.
Ankit Jain is the shadow senator for D.C.
He wants to take over MPD for 30 days, send in the National Guard, and then what, right? What happens after that? I didn't see a single thing that the president suggested that actually will reduce crime in D.C. over the long run.
This is a wonderful city. It's a wonderful place to live and work.
Sheena Berry is an advisory neighborhood commissioner in the district.
I am for the city being better. I want everyone to feel safer, but I just don't like the way it was rolled out and the language behind it.
She says the city needs to learn from this moment and get to work on ways to prevent crime.
We want to be a state, and if we want to be a state, we're going to have to do things differently, and this was a wake-up call for everyone in D.C. Council, for the mayor, for residents that live here. Everyone is having a come-to-Jesus moment.
And I think the thing we've heard the most from residents and people in the community is that they do want D.C. to be safe. They don't want crime here, but they're worried this does not get to the root cause of the solution to solving crime in D.C. In Northwest, I'm Katie Lusso. Back to you.
And until we get there, we'll still be dealing with what people are concerned about.
That's right. All right, Katie, thank you.
The White House is highlighting recent arrests during this federal takeover of D.C. police. According to a White House official, Tuesday through Wednesday morning, they arrested 43 people on D.C. streets.
Yeah, and we wanted to dive into those numbers and see how the task force and MPD are being used. And for that, we have our Matt Gregory. So, Matt, you've been digging into this. What were you able to find?
Okay, well, remember, first of all, that D.C. is so unique, right? We have D.C. Superior Court, but we also have federal court. And so some of those do end up in federal court, but the majority end up in D.C. Superior Court. And a majority of those arrested overnight ended up in this afternoon arraignment hearing. Now, listen, in some of those cases, we got to look inside at how the arrests went down and who performed them.
So we've seen these federal agents that are part of these federal task forces roaming the streets. How many arrests can we attribute to them?
Yeah, this is a difficult question to answer, but we were able to find some information, right? Some of these cases, the information's sealed, but I found a handful of felony arrests that come from what's being called the D.C. Safe and Beautiful Task Force. So, for example, there was a shooting in Southeast around midnight. ATF, DEA, FBI agents all teamed up with MPD officers to arrest one man. They found him with an illegal handgun and an extended magazine.
All right, so we heard you mention MPD there, Matt. How many of these arrests are being done by D.C. police and the task force?
All right, well, I thought this was really interesting. You know, all part of looking at these felony charges today, one of the things I saw was that a majority of these come from MPD officers doing their usual jobs. There are violent crime suppression units on the streets. There are robbery units on the streets. It appears the lion's share of the work being done since this order came down comes from MPD. But this is just what I'm seeing in today's D.C. Superior Court arraignment. We really didn't get a chance to see what the federal court had, although, like I said, the majority of the arrests will go through D.C. Superior Court.
Yeah, just starting to pull back the layers here. Matt, thank you. Of course, we'll all be keeping a close eye on how these federal task forces are out there and how they are used in our city.
And all of our Trump D.C. police takeover coverage is streaming right now on WUSA 9+. Just download the app for your smart TV and you can watch it anytime for free.
All right.